Are you ready to get woke? Welcome to the Woke as podcast with your host, Alex Lazarev.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the You Know What podcast. So here we are. I'm here with Adam. Adam's interesting. I met him like in 2013. 13? Was it 13?
I think 13,
Jeez, 13.
Because I just left San Diego State.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I went to like a layer meeting when I was doing all my pickup stuff. It was just a bunch of dudes in the house, and I was out back, and I did a talk, and it was good. I was ranting more about like conspiracy theories and people are taking over and all this crap, a lot of stuff about dating and connecting with people. But even before that, we just kind of met in the kitchen, and we just had a nice rant, and I was just being me and sharing my stuff and whatever, and so we basically ended up getting to know each other. Then I think after the event, we hung out a little bit. We've kind of been in touch since, and then I hadn't seen him in freaking years because I thought the USA was evil, and I was like, never going back to America again. And then finally I was like, no, it's okay, it's all good. There's good and there's bad, and I'm okay with it. So I hung out with him a couple weeks ago now, and we just started getting into some really interesting stuff. And I was like, we got to talk about this stuff on a podcast, because you were originally, I can intro you, but fuck it, tell the people a little bit about your background,
yeah.
Because now he works as a hypnotherapist, which is fascinating, and he does a lot of good work. So maybe give people a little bit just about your background, and then we can get into the fascinating shit we were talking about before.
Cool. So 40,000 feet above Adam Goodson, that's me.
And the closer the mic is to your face,
the closer the mic
better.
Is to
and
your
for
face.
people wondering, it's like, what are we going to learn in this podcast? It's going to be crazy shit about how to make sure how you'll know if someone's trying to get into your mind using NLP and how to defend yourself against that. And some of the stories he's going to share are wacky, and that's why I brought him here.
Yeah. So we're definitely that was the meat.
That was the meat. Yes, meat.
So let me get a little bit more aggressive with this microphone. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So
get aggressive.
Where did I get from? Okay, so grew up in Texas, have really great friends. My parents divorced. My mom remarried. I went through a bunch of cataclysms of like types of trauma. Not that it's something to brag about, but I had a lot of different traumas. And when I meet somebody who has a trauma that I haven't had, I find them fascinating. Like, tell me about that in a loving way and non-judgmental. So that led me to joining the Marine Corps. 9/11 happened. I wanted to go defend my country, and all that saber rattling. I went and did that. I was actually a prison guard at Guantanamo Bay.
That's great.
So I saw.
You're gonna have to share one of those stories.
Something, yeah.
Those are.
I can share some stuff, yeah. So I did that for 9 years in the military. I got married. I got divorced. I was actually homeless while in the Marine Corps.
That's interesting.
So yeah, and so I felt, loved and abandoned by the Marine Corps in many ways, and now I still love it. But there's certain individuals, right, that it's like those people just need to go further down the river from me. So I'm leaving that behind. Went ahead 2008, got divorced. Actually, as a joke, I bought a copy of the book The Game and gave it to my buddy, who ended up having an affair and getting married to my wife.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So then as I was moving out and grabbing my stuff, I took the book back. And so it was kind of like taking my power back in a way. It's like, fuck that guy. God bless him now. I have love and bless him because I've done a lot of internal work. So then I found about pickup, started doing pickup, started hanging out with pickup artists, started doing coaching once I started getting confident about it. Heard you speak several times, and I would strongly, I put a thing on my website. I loved the video of you in Bucharest with that woman. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, it can't be this easy. And then you have the pictures and you talking about how you connected with her. And I was like, okay, why isn't that, why? And I noticed there was something different and unique about you as you talked about connection after having a small kiss with a woman. And I was like, that's not discussed. Why? And that left me going out and looking for more answers. Studied hypnosis around that time, 2009, 2008. And then put it aside. Then I got really sick. PTSD was from my time in Guantanamo, was really just kicking my ass. And then I was reading a book called Mind Lines, Lines to Change People's Minds, the name of it, by Michael Hall. He stole from somebody else. There's a big drama there. but it's kind of hard to see somebody read that book and understand it. And I was reading that book outside of a Starbucks, and a guy comes by and goes, "Who are you? And why are you reading that book?" And I said, "Fuck you." I can cuss on this, right? Yeah, cool. So I said, "Fuck you." I just gruntled. I was angry. I was pissed off, grumpy vet. And he said, "Only master hypnotists really read that book. So who are you? Are you a master hypnotist? And why are you why do you look like a fucking bum?" I was like, "Oh, fuck you." So then that turned out to be my first hypnosis mentor. And we worked together. I learned from him. I had a lot of my problems and my traumas resolved. And I was like, this is magical. And I fell in love with the fluffy, happy part of hypnosis and NLP. Stage hypnosis, making people's lives better. And then I started studying sales and NLP for business, NLP for persuasion. And then I found the dark stuff. And I was like, that's interesting. So I think that brings us up to present day. So, yeah.
Okay. So first, before we get into all that, you just got to share like one crazy Guantanamo story. Has to be done. Because everybody, when they hear someone was a prisoner, they're like, okay, what went on there? We must, we just have to know.
So I went there. Do you remember the Abu Ghraib scandal?
Of course. Yeah,
right? That was the big one?
Yeah.
So coincidentally, I actually locked up the 2 females inside my brig that I worked at in San Diego. So it was interesting. They made this big international faux pas, and they said, we can't.
I believe it's faux pas.
A faux pas. The hashtagu is
for the non-French speakers. Faux pas. Thanks.
So they essentially said, well, we can't use these people that are not military police correctional officer trained to oversee these enemy combatants. We need to pull these people out and let them, like I think they were in artillery. They weren't trained to deal with law enforcement background or something. So they pulled them out and they put us in, and that included Guantanamo Bay. So when I went down there, it was because of that antic. And then later on, I got to see them in my jail when I was locked up at Miramar. I thought that was really strange. I was like, holy shit. Like, it's gone the story's gone full circle for me. But when I got there, I think the funniest thing, should I say a funny one?
Don't say anything where you can get like arrested for or in trouble. Not like no state secrets, right? Nothing where the man's going to come after you.
Okay, well, shit.
But just, I was joking. I hope I didn't make you paranoid.
No, like that actually just like, I was like going, you know what? I wonder if that guy got acquitted.
Well, there's no names.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll say this. This is the biggest thing. The craziest thing I think I ever like really saw is that you would see people like face to face that had actually done a heinous act. So it taught me a lot to have about compassion for my enemy. So a lot of people that are there, and I say they're people because they are human beings. They might be a terrorist. They might be a murderer. They might just be someone who got conscripted. And it's like, hey, you're going to join our Taliban army. And if you decide to run away from your Taliban duties, this guy right here has an AK-47 and a satellite phone, and he's going to kill your whole fucking family if you go missing. So you better fucking stay where. So they'd had this like circle of manipulation and coercion. Like there's a difference between persuasion. Persuasion is the person voluntarily agrees. These people were coerced, guns to people's heads, and it's like, I don't know anything. I'm a cook. And then you'd have other people who are like, bad motherfuckers. So I actually got to meet some of the people that were trained by the CIA in the 80s by the Mujahideen that were locked up there. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen somebody move so fast. Like for a 40, 50-year-old man who's fighting the Russians and who could speak Russian. So this is the interesting thing. I guess this is interesting. They said, we're going to send the Puerto Rican National Guard down there because they all speak fluent Spanish. They're like, we're going to fuck with these prisoners. And the prisoners, or the detainees, if you see the cell blocks, they're all open air. So it's just like chicken wire blocks, cell blocks. So you can yell from one end of the camp all the way to the other. And so they would share information. And of course, that's valuable to us in that mission. So I said, we'll get the Spanish guys and we'll cover up our name taps, my name tag, so they don't know what these people's names are, the soldiers' names. And they'll walk around, they'll do their thing. These people were so good at learning languages. Half the camp spoke fluent conversational Spanish in 2 weeks. So I was just like, I was really amazed. I learned to like be humble because people know stuff, but I've had multiple fluids thrown on me. So like, it's funny. You ever hear somebody say, eat shit and die?
Mm-hmm.
So a guy had opened up his feed tray. We call it a bean hole. And I had to get his plate and his utensils back from him. And he's like, MP. He calls me MP. Come here. I was like, what? He's like, come here. And I got too close. And he threw a cup of shit in my face and it went in my mouth. And I'm telling you, shit doesn't taste that bad.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of gross. But like, you know, like I hear some people say that they drink their own urine. And I'm like, I'm drinking other people's urine and it wasn't voluntarily. And I was just like, oh, this is I think piss tastes worse than shit.
Really?
Really?
Because I drink my own pee regularly, and it's quite delightful. It depends on your diet.
You had like a Dr. Evil moment there. I suggest you try it. It's quite nice.
It's quite nice.
But like
but poop though, other people's poop, that's not on my list of nice things.
So I had to go do a bunch of go to the clinic, get tested, get a bunch of like I had to drink like some kind of weird like all-in-one thing and vaccines to make sure to keep me safe. So I got out safe. I have nothing.
Because that's what you want to do if you want to be safe. You want to take vaccines.
Yeah.
That'll protect you.
Well,
for sure.
This is like back in the day. So this is probably me like now I think we have more information on it.
I just look for reasons to get vaccines so I can feel more safe.
Oh, here's another funny thing. If you want to talk about connection.
I hope people are good at spawning sarcasm because I'd be really worrying if they weren't.
You know what? They wouldn't be watching this. Like,
no,
I think woke people.
Nobody watches the woke as fuck.
Like a certain.
Who's not at least a little bit there. You know?
Like awareness. If they don't, then man, like they're gonna have a hard time with the news.
On the YouTube because we're on YouTube now. I need to. If I say something sarcastic, we should have a graphic come up. Just sarcasm, just in case there's a couple of people tuning in. They're not with it. They're like. Anyway.
Here's another funny quick one. We had this guy who was yoked out. He would do like 400 push-ups, like at one sitting.
That's pretty good.
And he had a huge beard. They called him Jumanji. That was his nickname because he looked like the Jumanji guy. And polite as ever, very polite. Like assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. And we would have a conversation, and he would be cooperative. He understood like I'm locked in this place. I can't leave. I knew that hey, I'm locked in this place with you. I can't leave. I'm just. Being a guard there, you're pretty much a prisoner as well, but with more benefits, which is kind of enlightening in their own way. So I was always polite with him. And then one day, a guy came in and gave him attitude, and he threw a cocktail, all these different specimens of human fluid on him. And the guy turned out to be not HIV, but hepatitis C. And he had to go home, and he had to go home to his family. And I think he ended up getting discharged from the army. Like all this, like just like long, lengthy military career, and I was just like going, wow, like if you treat people with respect before you meet them, they have less reason to be violent to you. And so that was really, that was a school of hard knocks. And so that's Guantanamo, and there's a lot of Hollywood, but I didn't see too much torture, which was really funny. Maybe 3-4 instances out of a whole year that I ever saw something that was like. That's kind of questionable, but I never saw waterboarding. I never saw any of that stuff. So.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
Well,
I don't think they do that out in the open.
Well, no, I mean,
pretty sure there's a back room somewhere for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've sat in on interrogations. Yeah, I mean, from outside, like looking in, and that's interesting. Like you kind of see like the human side of terrorism. It's just a headline, but then you realize like this is a real human being. Like what's going on, and so
at least he was before the torture.
Yeah, well,
now just an empty shell.
I mean, you talk about trauma, and we're going to get into this into the dark side, the darkness of some of the NLP manipulation or black magic, however you want to call it. I think that there's people out there that do think it's okay to do, and I want to say I'm not. One of my mentors, he has a whole course on this stuff. And one thing he says, he's like, I'm not a police officer. I'm not here to tell you how to use this and how not to use this. But if you know how to use it and you understand how it works, then you can protect yourself. And that's why I'm sharing it. And so I will say this is that there's people out there that like to, there's integration. I like integration, like holistic integration. I like to have tolerance for the intolerance. It's a nice way to frame it in my mind, at least. So I understand that a person who's a criminal or a person who hurts somebody actually has some some buried karma or shadow or entity, and that behavior of them hurting or killing somebody is really not them. The behavior is separate from their soul. And so what happens is these guys, I think, in my viewpoint, in my professional opinion, is they are so fragmented in so many different ways that they don't even know who they really are on a conscious level. And then they go to jail and they meet somebody like, oh, we're going to do some meditation. And then all of a sudden they start teaching meditation. The violence goes down in the jails. And they're like, what's happening here? And I'm like, man, I really made a big mistake. I really learned a big mistake. And then that's when they can start learning forgiveness and start forgiving themselves. So, if you're a bad person, just forgive yourself. I really wish that for you.
Yeah, it's what you said. I realized there's no
at first.
There's no bad souls. It's just the ego that's confused and angry and doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always the ego that's hating on people, wants revenge, wants to murder someone. It's never the soul. So.
Yeah, and I'm very hippie woo-woo, so I'm all about the law of attraction. I believe in reincarnation. So all those people that I was in the jail being a jail guard for, I think I had some kind of spiritual connection to them. And so that's something that I've had to do for my own healing, is forgiving terrorist fucks and knowing like they're not a terrorist fuck. This is a human being. And
it's always confused human beings.
So, I'll have a drink with him in the afterlife and we'll come back and do it all over again. Because that's the point. It's a great video game. But we're on, whether you believe that or not, you're on the train. Sorry. Like, might not believe it, but you're on the train. You're on the train. So we don't know where we're going. We don't even know where we left from. But let's point out the windows and go, that's cool. That's what I'm about right now.
At least point out the windows.
Yeah, point out the windows. Enjoy the food.
So let's get into this NLP stuff. So I don't know. Okay. So this is interesting. I should have talked to you about this before we were recording, but we'll do it now on air. Why not? I don't know if you want to mention some of the names of the people who are doing the really manipulative stuff. In a way, I think it should be kind of out there because they're doing some really dodgy shit. But if you wanted to just talk about somebody anonymously, I don't know. But some of the shit you told me, I was like, that is dark. So
yeah. I'm okay with mentioning some names, definition of character lawsuits. But I think another thing is the people that I told you about, those names are already out there. Mm-hmm. It's public knowledge. You just have to look. Pardon me. I'm okay with saying some names. I even have videos of people doing the technique on their YouTube channel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 people in an audience.
Oh, I see.
So there is, I look at the knife. Okay, a knife can be used to stab somebody and maim them and hurt them. But at the same time, that there's another kind of knife called a scalpel, and that's what a surgeon uses to remove a tumor. So it's the intent. Look at the intent behind it. And I'm no saint. I've used some of this stuff to defend myself. When someone starts going ahead and using this crap against me, I'm like, oh, I'm better at it than you. Let's play. Because I know how to go back to my home, clear the space, make myself, a whole again and integrate it, because I have those backups in my head. So I'll share some of that stuff with you guys.
So first, let's just do a really brief thing. What is NLP and what is it in theory?
Okay.
Great. Supposed to be used for.
So,
and then we'll get into the, the good and then the dark stuff.
Yeah. So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
Is it evil?
No.
I think it's evil.
No, I think it's
I have a feeling it's evil. Let's see.
Let me put it like there's electricity, right? Like there's electricity in this home, but the electricity is lighting up the church down the street just as much as lighting up the brothel down the street too. So it's just energy.
But can you get the church and the brothel to come together under one roof and still operate? That will be interesting.
That will be something. I am personally of the belief that there is some situations where that is true. I don't think. I think sex is actually, or intimacy.
Cindy needs $8,000 for some new breast implants. Praise the Lord. Come on, Cindy. Let's
roll them on down here.
She got 3 kids to feed, Lord. She need them titties. Let's go.
Thank you for breaking the tension.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's good. I like it.
So it's energy. So you can look at it, whether you like it or not. I am always using NLP. Always. I've just integrated it. I listen for it. And my goal is to, 1, use rapport. I want to be in connection with cool people. I want to, hey, what's up? Hey, Alex. hey, Sasha, or the audience out there who's watching or listening, I want you guys to, it's nice to be respected. I don't, being rejected, that's fine, but it's still a type of rapport. We're still reacting to each other. So that's rapport. Let's put that term at the bottom somewhere. Rapport is just an act of responsiveness. They say like people. No, like people who respond to each other are in rapport. So we could say that during the presidential debates between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, they were in a high level of rapport. And people would be like, that doesn't meet my model of NLP that's been taught to me in the nice seminar, in the, stroking my teddy bear. I'm like, no. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but that is. And so you can see things that they say, the speeches, the hand gestures, things of that nature that are used to grab your attention and condition you. So that's rapport. And then you asked another question. Is it evil? The intent behind it is evil. So it's not I know we live in a difficult time. I don't think guns are bad. I think people who use the guns to hurt other people are bad. I think that people who are using guns to inflict pain, that's bad. That's evil.
But a minute ago we said there were no bad people.
Yeah, well, the intention is bad. The behavior.
Damaged people.
Yeah.
The behavior, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't know. There's that...
Egos do bad things. I don't think...
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the ego.
Yeah, and if cool. But... you gotta take ownership of the bad shit too, and that's one way of getting. If your evil deed is an 8-foot tall wall, then I really hope that your consciousness has become 9 feet tall to get over that, and that's really where the healing starts, in my opinion. So we put your consciousness as being stronger and more loving than the bad deeds, because that's who you're going to be tomorrow, and you can always reinvent yourself. So, all right, enough of that.
What was it kind of invented for? Like the guy who came up with it?
Oh, yeah. Let's do that one. So Richard Bandler is the granddaddy of NLP. He's the guy who invented it or discovered it, however you want to say it. And then him and John Grinder, they just went off the rails with it, and they took it off. So they figured out that our language, our spoken word, mirrors the illusion, if you will, or the experience that goes on inside our heads. So, like visual words, how do we describe somebody? Handsome, ugly, cute, pretty. Is the picture light? Is it bright? How do you feel? Scared, timid, some other kind of emotion. And then we'll have like aroma, like smell or touch, hearing, all these things. And so when we bring all those words together, we can kind of have what happens when you read a Stephen King book. That's just the page is dripping with description. And we have a really good idea what Stephen King's talking about. And so I would say that if you read the book that it is actually a hypnotic learning educational story. And so I love the movie. I love what they did with it. But that is an example of NLP at work inside of literature. So that's what NLP is. It's just taking language, applying it to the neurological reactions inside your brain, and it's the language of the mind. That's the bumper sticker.
Okay. So it sounds like it's just language.
That's key, man.
Because without a mind, there's no language anyway.
Yeah. Like something I've been really considering is who am I without my body? And do I need to see in order to believe? What's the emotion that I can feel inside my soul? And so that's something that at the Infinite Man that we kind of experienced with Paul. And oh my God, I just forgot her name. The sweetheart, Kathy. I saw her face. I couldn't say her name. My apologies, Kathy. But yeah, like they did a really interesting. I was like, oh, that's great. And so now I'm exploring that space. But yeah, it's you got to have your mind healed, aligned with your heart, and I would also say your chakras or your organs, especially your sex organs, so that you know what you're actually experiencing. What is the truth? What is your honest spiritual truth of experiencing? But
so before we get into the dark stuff, so what in theory, what could it be used for good? Like how would somebody who's an NLP master help people?
Right. So something
because that'd be weird, just going straight to the dark stuff. That's strange.
Yeah.
Let's do the normal stuff and then get into the.
So
I already did it. It's okay.
You're such a sweetheart. Sasha has a friend here, and she's great. She's awesome. So what can you do that's good with it? Well, for instance, quit smoking is another one. Nail biting is another one. Nasty habits that maybe you don't want to have anymore. You can use this to actually change your version of reality, of how you perceive reality, because reality is just information coming into your brain. So I would say, how do you respond to the world? You know, if nothing but shit is coming in, how do you respond to a world of shit? And unfortunately, a lot of people just respond back in shit. But then something happens when you start hanging out with NLP guys. The shit starts coming in, and then you realize, no, this isn't shit. You're filtering the information from past traumas, maybe in past life, past karma, maybe even the TV. And so that's something that powerful can happen. Trauma release, reintegration, instead of you become more holistically you rather than what that trauma took away from you. And you can actually, that's something that I do with my clients. You can actually experience a deep meditative state. So I have some people who come to me. Some of the best clients I have right now are yoga moms. And they're like, I just want to I can't meditate and I'm so nervous. And I'm like, oh, bless your heart. Come here. And I can actually use NLP to get them to a place of deeper mindfulness that's not forced, that they can just progress. Oh, I'm like, yeah, this is what we've been talking about. And then you can condition or stimulus response conditioning, or a fancy word for that in the NLP world is anchoring. And you can actually create that so they can actually turn that on. So one thing that I do, you want to hear about fun? I love taking people to Disneyland right now, and I'll do a workshop at Disneyland, and I'll hypnotize them to think their workspace is Disneyland, so they don't get burned out at work. And so that's something that you can do. That's the fun stuff. You can start having joy and creating joy wherever you want, and just fire it off. And you can actually massively change your personality away from disempowering emotions and go to empowering emotions like love, peace, serenity, joy, compassion, and stop being this angry butthole that runs around the world. So that's the good stuff you can do.
Now here's a question. Let's say I don't really have any bad addictions. Can NLP help me get one?
Absolutely.
Like, let's say I feel like I'm too perfect and I want to be a little bit fallible. I want to be able to connect with people. I want people to go look at Sasha and go, yeah, Sasha's cool, but he's got a bit of a, a booze problem or something like that. Yeah. Could I get addicted to alcohol with NLP, even though I've never drunk before?
Yeah. I would say that. If somebody, because all it is taking that information and moving. I don't even want to use my hands. It's simply taking that information and moving it over into alcohol.
But we could also use it for something really positive. Like, let's say somebody comes to you and they says, we want to instill some beliefs where I'm going to be really comfortable making money or selling my product or whatever it is, and I want to go make millions of dollars helping people. You can instill programs.
Absolutely.
That's pretty good.
So that's really good. So
good.
One thing that I really love is we'll hear about this a lot in the self-help sales guys. Sales objections, or what do we call it in pickup back in the day? Like what, slut defense shield or whatever crap that was, whatever lingo. I hate lingo, but so that like a girl will say, you're like, hey, I want to go on a date with you, and the girl's like, oh, I can't tomorrow night. It's like, well, ask her out for the day after that. Like, express that you really want. Like, no, I'm serious. I really think you're amazing, and I want to hang out with you. I really can't. It's like, okay, do you think I'm really amazing? Like, do you want to make time for me?
Nope. You're kind of an a-hole.
Great.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like just sticking with it until you actually get the no. You're like, okay, great, thanks. I can go about my day, instead of being this tricky manipulator guy. But here's my point is being able to keep pursuing a sale or keep finding out, because some people will give you a fluff story. They will say something fake about their sale, like why they can't buy from you. You can install the belief that you are actually a persuasion expert that's able to weave around the objection. So like an objection can come out like, I don't have enough money. You mean today? What about tomorrow? We have more money tomorrow? Do you want to do payments? It's like, what if you put a down payment on and then we can pick it up next month? You just make the payments. We'll get it. I'll hold you the space. then you find out the real truth is like, I don't like your coaching, or your goatee is weird, or you're whatever. Because I hear like, okay, cool. So that's something that I really enjoy, and then that can definitely be developed. That can definitely be installed, but it has to be ecologically good. It has to be good for you. It has to be good for them. It has to be good for the environment around you, and that's when it really sticks.
It'd be trippy if you installed a positive one on me right now on the podcast. Is that
Really?
possible?
Yeah.
Because I got one thing I know I can improve on. Even though I have my coaching programs are great, I help people.
You're
They're
a
always
fantastic
happy.
coach.
I'm always guilty about like if I'm on stage we're going, hey guys, so I'm doing this thing. If you have this problem, go and buy my training program. I'm going to work with. I always just feel like not comfortable with that. There's some part of me that's like, I think it's got it from my mom. You know what I mean? This guilt, this like guilt.
This guilt.
It's terrible. So yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want that there.
Well, yeah.
People are always happy at the end of the training.
Yeah. Well, I would put it this way. 2008, I got divorced. I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of hypnotists. And you said something to me at the kitchen that one day.
2013 kitchen.
2013 in the kitchen, if you remember that earlier, where I was struggling back then. I was fortunate to have a place to live, but living paycheck to paycheck, and the bank kept going negative in my bank account before the paycheck hit. So I was like, damn it, I got to do something. But I didn't know what to do. And I didn't even have the energy to do it. And then you said something. We had a friend there who's very successful, has a lot of money, and he's a great guy. And you were like, oh yeah, this is great. And he just kept talking, and we kept like vibing. And I was like, yeah, but what about this? And my buddy just kept going on talking about what. And you said, hey, hold on. Adam needs to make money now. It's his turn. He needs to. It's hard to get to the other side of the street when you're so hungry. It's hard to do that. And it hit me. I was like, oh, I need to take care of me. I need to make the money, because if I don't have the money, I won't be able to move. I won't be able to get out of here. So then I was like, oh, what do I do? So after that, that's when the money switch hit. And then I started making money. So if you hadn't have told me that, this right now wouldn't be possible. So we can see how that all builds up. So if we had to go ahead and look at when that first moment where that belief said that you don't have something of value to offer, that would be the moment I would want to examine, pull out and look at it. And you don't have to say it, but like every moment it's like kind of like a two-sided coin. So you might be seeing the negative one. And if you can just flip it around and put it back inside yourself to know that you are a person of value, that you are a high-level coach. You're not fucking about. You're definitely getting some shit done. I saw it at the Infinite Man. I'm wondering, what evidence do you need to have in your life to know that belief is gone?
I see what you did there with the hand.
Yeah.
That was cute. But it's so weird, because on a conscious level, it's really easy to look and go, well, I've got all these clients. They're all very happy. A lot of them are married. A lot of them have kids. A lot of them are, it's ridiculous. So many success stories out there. But when I'm up on that stage and I want to go, hey guys, so I'm doing a weekend training this weekend, there's still a little part of it that's like, that doesn't want to be like, yo, going to the bank and sign up for my thing. Some little part, and I know it's from my childhood.
Yeah, well, whatever that reason is, you could probably look at that reason the same way you look at like me smoking a cigarette and blowing smoke rings over the lake. And what happens to smoke rings? They just disappear, right? So you can just put that there, and that's fine, because now that that's gone, and we can move back to you being on stage and you saying something that's confident and something that you know is true. Like, the sun's going to rise tomorrow. Like, sure as shit, the sun's going to rise tomorrow. Do you believe it?
Yes.
Good. And that's where you need to put your confidence at, because you've sold before, and you've offered before, you've given value, and people go, I would have paid more money for this. Geez, you should charge more. And you go, yeah, I feel pretty good about my rates today. And then next week, and you're like, I'm doubling my rates. They're like, why? He's like, I just feel that good. Like, it's just, I get testimonials where they're saying that they're ripping me off. And I was like, well, maybe they're right. And so that's why I raised my rates. And I think that right there, if you come from that place of knowing, that's the place. Like, have you ever heard the saying, this guy could sell refrigerators to Eskimos? Do you know how they really sold refrigerators to Eskimos?
I'd like to know.
Frostbite. They were putting their fish outside in the ice, and their fish were getting frostbite. You don't get too much. A freezer burn is their biggest thing inside a refrigerator, so they bought them up. They're like,
so they actually bought them?
Yeah. True story.
That's hilarious.
And it comes down to just really knowing what your customer wants, listening, connecting. I just went to a business summit this past weekend, and I heard a bunch of lovely advice. I'll put it that way. I won't mention this guy's name. But my buddy was like, hey, I want you to come with me. I got an extra ticket. Tell me is this bullshit or good? 80% bullshit. And they're like, you have to have this and this and this. So they had an exercise. We had to go around the room. We had to go around the room pitching people. So I like got to keep the microphone next to my lips. So we had to go around the room pitching people. And I got this one woman, and she says, who do you serve? And I was like, I serve people who have traumatic experiences that want to feel more like themselves and have a deeper level of consciousness and love. And she goes, that's too long. You need to shorten it. I was like, okay. And the 4 agreements, I just say thank you. That's my deal. It's like, oh, thank you for that. I'm already making money in my business, so thank you for the advice. That's kind of what I was thinking. Not fuck you, which might have been like the knee-jerk thing. And then she goes, well, what's your offer? And I was like, well, it's one-on-one sessions, and I elaborate. And she's like, okay. And then who buys this? Like, who's your customers? And I just looked at her, and I said, people that have problems that deserve more than a short answer. And she's like, holy shit. One of the instructors was like, they thought the fight was going to her eyes got really big. You're a fucking asshole. And I was like, yeah, I am a fucking asshole, but I'm not going to go cheap on my value. And if you have 10 seconds to listen, go keep watching TV. Stay plugged in. Sorry. It's not televised to you. I wish you the best. So that was one instance where I actually used NLP to say I actually used a conditioning response called anchoring in covert hypnosis to anchor her to not being a client. Like, you're not welcome. And she just felt the energy. And I was like, yeah, you're not welcome. And so the rest of the week. Well,
I think it was pretty obvious when you said, anyone who doesn't have time for more than a 10-second answer, which clearly was her.
Yeah.
That was pretty clear. Didn't need any NLP for that. I felt that here. I was like, he's not working with her.
So at least for me, if you're going to pitch from the stage or present from the stage, you know what you're good at. You have the testimonials. I would reread your testimonials at least every day for the next 30 days.
Oh, okay. So me personally, just go through them.
Yeah, go read them. See how you change those lives. I mean, I do the same thing.
I've never done that. That's a good idea.
Because here's the thing. I want to condition my mind to know that I can help people. And if people can't accept my help, it's not our journey together. I wish them the best. I'm going to go on. But, I mean, there's so many people that need our help. And you may not be the best coach for them. I may not be the best coach for them. But if you go ahead and say, hey, I respect that, onto the journey, but here's the people I've helped. This is how I help them. I help them understand connection. I understand how to teach them how to connect with themselves. I'm spitballing, or what you've done for me. Because that video that I saw of you in Bucharest, that really led me to the relationship that I'm in now, and I've been with her for 7 years. What, you think that's a coincidence? I don't know. I think it really meant to happen. I think you making that video with that woman birthed a lot of relationships and a lot of connection. And I fucking love my woman. I mean, I brought her to the seminar. It was our 7-year anniversary. We went and celebrated at your summit and heard those amazing speakers, heard you speak, heard you share. We did ecstatic dance. We did the cacao ceremony. And I mean, we drove home and I think we talked more about the Infinite Man Summit than we were actually physically there, which is pretty amazing. So, and it's only been a month? Not even. So, yeah.
You think I'm paying him to say those stuff? Not true.
No,
I'll get you that silver later.
Yeah. No worries. But, you can take all those words now and then everything I just said and praise to you. And I'm wondering, your name is Sasha Daygame on the internet, or Alex. What if you heard Sasha Daygame, comma, and then you had a new last name that was all your testimonials, all your positive testimonials?
We'd have to come up with a name for that.
Yeah. I
or
would call
unless what would you call it?
Deserving.
Sasha Deserving? Or Sasha Daygame Deserving?
Yeah.
STD. Sounds like a STD, actually.
Yeah. Like you're deserving. You've done the work. You've been deserving, the word etymology, deserving, being of service. I've been of service. I've put the work in the gym. I've lost the weight. Now I have 6-pack abs. You are deserving of 6-pack abs. There's no way to fake the funk on that. But are you worthy? Absolutely. I knight thee. Deserving and worthy. So now you bring those two things together in your beingness. Notice what happens if you just close your eyes for a moment and speak from that place and say, I would love for you to come to my next Infinite Man Summit.
I would love for you to come to my next Infinite Man Summit. I see a cake. I want deserving, just deserting. I just see a cake. I want to eat that cake. The worthy cake. I want to eat it.
Yeah. So if you speak from that place, that's where it matters. Because I'm telling you,
come to Infinite Man Summit, bitch.
And please make the time.
What?
You're probably gonna do another one soon. And I'm not trying to plug anything. I'm just saying, I've gone to a lot of seminars, a lot of summits, and it's very rare to see people who are approachable, like your speakers. And it was an honor to be there. I mean, it really is. And I'm struggling to think if anybody was actually rude to me, like even in the least. Like
I could try and bring on one rude speaker next year just to.
Can that be me?
Just to fuck with people.
Because, and sometimes
you'll
you
be
have to be
sitting
rude.
there, and then somebody will come up behind. They'll just put their cock and balls on your shoulder, and you'll look over and go, "Ah!" You'll be like, "That was rude." Just one guy doing stuff.
That's
like
a poly potluck ring there for. Yeah.
Listen,
but yeah. So I hope that helps.
I want to get into some of this juicy stuff.
We're getting
in there. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I hope that works for you. If it didn't, call me. Let me know.
All right.
We'll add more to that because you definitely are worthy of that.
So yeah, man, let's get into some this fascinating stuff. So, because give me an example, because you told me some really funny stories of people like trying to screw you, like over the phone, doing all these crazy shit, and I'm like, what the people do this? Apparently they do this. So let's just get into some of that stuff.
Okay.
And one of the most famous, and everyone knows this, so it's not like we're not like putting out any secrets, but a guy called Russ Jeffries, like one of the earliest pickup guys.
Yeah.
Super creepy, doing all kinds of manipulative stuff. And even when I was young, and I was in my 20s and I read the game, I immediately just listened, and I was like, oh, you're just using psychological tricks to trick women into bed. And I was like, no thanks, I'm not interested in that. I mean, because I knew right away it wasn't a real connection. It's using some kind of manipulation. So I was like, no thanks. But that's always been around. Yeah. That's been around in our era for quite some time. So let's talk a little bit about,
Yeah. So about manipulation, I would say manipulation, again, what's the intention behind it? If I'm about to jump off a bridge and someone shows up and they say, don't do it. And I'm like, no, I fucking made my mind up. I want to do this. I hope that guy can manipulate me to change my mind or persuade. I think they're synonymous in the meanings of the word. But again, attention. What are you trying to manipulate somebody out of or into? And is it really serving them? And that's why I say what you do is of value. So you offering somebody and they're a good fit and they're a good fit, bring them in. Like, hey, you're going to be served powerfully. And that's been my sales mindset. And you can get a good deal. If it's a bad deal, call me, let me know. I'll fucking change some shit. And I've done that too. That's another story. So, Ross Jeffries. So, I've followed Ross Jeffries. I've watched his programs. I've paid for stuff from him. And there's people, this is what's really interesting. I'll see people who claim to be really good at NLP in the pickup artist group. And then I'll go, why isn't that person ever at NLP conventions? Why are they not at the Hypnosis or Hypno Thoughts Las Vegas, which is a big seminar? And I'm like, why is this person not there? And then I realized that they, when I ask, they're like, oh, he's blacklisted. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, we don't sell tickets to that guy. And I'm like, really? And I'll ask around. They're like, oh yeah, we wouldn't let that guy here. And it's always the same set of names. And his is one of those names. So he has a thing called the Girlfriend Destroyer. It's talked about in the book, The Game. And that's, people go to him like, well, he didn't make that up. He stole that from another person who's trained with Bandler. And I've been mentored by this person too. And the story is public. that's really, it's, like, what the hell? Why would you want to destroy someone's relationship? So I had a begrudgingly friendly relationship with Russ Jeffries up until about 2.5 years ago, where he used the girlfriend destroyer pattern over the phone with me. And I said, beg your pardon? And he's like, oh yeah. And he repeated it again. And I said, hey, gotta go. Bye. I hung up the phone, unfriended, blocked the calls. The best defense against the black side or the dark side, the black NLP side. I'm not talking about my African brothers and sisters, but the dark side of NLP or someone doing something negative is just say no, 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 and walk away. Just no, turn off the TV. NLP is done through the TV and the radio, whether you like it or not. You're like, that's not what we do here at this ad agent. Bullshit. That's what you fucking do. And I can prove it again and again. So, yeah, he did that. And so I seen him do it on other people's girlfriends. And I was like, hey, dude, he's doing this to your girlfriend, right? And he's like, no, dude, he's cool. And I'm like, So I have recordings of it. And so it's gross. So that's something that I've seen him do. And that's why he's not invited to certain cliques inside NLP therapeutic circles or NLP persuasion circles, and people have picked up on it and they've moved away. And I just, I think it's gross. I think it's really gross. And he said he turned over a new leaf. He was at the same house where you were at with me. Pardon me. He was there speaking and said he had a bad heart attack and turned over a new leaf. And I just don't, I wish him the best. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. So I've placed Russ Jeffries in a place of indifference in my life, where I don't care if he lives or dies or is happy or sad. It's just, I put him in limbo.
So what will be some some real life examples of where people, because you don't usually get like high level hypno guys walking around life trying to manipulate people, or do we? And what will be some more practical examples of how somebody might be trying to manipulate somebody using specific techniques to do something? Okay, like that's really douchey, like trying to get somebody to break up with their girlfriend. Yeah. Because the first time you told me that story, you told me exactly what he was trying to do with the pattern on your girlfriend, and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like it was really fucked up. Yeah. Yeah. But so maybe you feel like sharing that, but just other examples of how people might. Try to use that stuff. And then most importantly, how do we fucking see it and stop it? Okay, so how do you see it and stop it? One, it's very hard to see it and stop it with somebody who's properly trained, okay? I would say even for myself, like I really don't like, I will tell people before I do something like how we did here. I like to have an agreement because one, it works that much bigger. It's like a bigger oomph when you have agreements, and then they're like, yeah, I want to have a better belief about myself selling from stage, and that's where I shine. Now, can I do covert stuff? I'll put it this way: that same girlfriend destroyer pattern that Russ Jeffries used, because I seen him use it and I studied it. I use that same pattern to remove the racial slur, the N-word. And so I removed that from a guy's vocabulary who was a homeless guy. This is a fun story, yeah. So he came up to me and he's like, man, I'll just put, another word there. He's like, Negroes don't eat Starbucks. He wanted me to buy him food and I was like, I didn't have my wallet with me, but I had my cell phone. Just left the gym. And I was with a client and I said, hey, I can't, he just randomly been there in San Francisco. We met. And I was like, yeah, hey, I can't, but I have money on my phone for Starbucks. I'll buy you Starbucks. And he said, Negroes don't eat Starbucks. And I was like, oh God, dude. So this is in Union Square in San Francisco, heart of PC culture land. And this guy's yelling, Negroes don't eat Starbucks. And people were looking. And then, so I quickly, owned the situation, took control, told him a few phrases. And I took that word Negro, or the racial slur, I'm not going to say it, and I moved it out, and I said, well, what is it? If you say it again to me, and he's like, Nubians don't eat Starbucks. I was like, no. What was the other word you said? He's like, dude, I told you, black people don't eat Starbucks. And I was like, yeah. Sorry, man, no dice. And he was just was kind of dumbfounded for a little bit. He's like, what is that word? He couldn't come up with it. He knew what the word meant, but he did not know what the word was. It was gone from his mind.
And my client was like, what the fuck did you just do? I said, I just did that guy a favor. Like, he needs to stop using that word if he wants to have people help him. And he doesn't want my help, even though it's probably healthier food at Starbucks than there is at Carl's Jr., which is where he wanted to go. And I just said, hey, dude, no, I'm not, no. And then at that moment was the moment when I went, oh, I'm good. I was like, I'm really good at this. I know this is this is what I want to do. So I appreciate it as an art form. So that's, did that answer your question about, like, I know we went there, but what was it? How to prevent it?
Yeah, but I mean, you're scaring me because you're making me think that it sounds like there's no way to prevent it because it would just be someone talking to you. Yes. And so the only way to prevent it, you said, is just to leave, just walk away, but you wouldn't walk away if you didn't know what they were doing.
Right. So the biggest thing is one, atop the Temple of Delphi, know thyself. Go and meditate. Do some yoga. Get your diet right. Unplug from the TV for a little bit. And start really realizing what it's like to be yourself. What is your natural homeostasis state? How do you feel? Now, if you start feeling a dip very radically that goes towards the can, like the shit can, ding, 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 ding. That means you need to change environments. You need to get out. You're like, okay. And you're being conditioned or manipulated into feeling a certain way that's shitty. Or you're feeling really good. And so if you've heard the term love bombing before, a lot of narcissists and sociopaths do it. And I have a website called impactfulchangeshypnosis.com. If you go there, click articles, there's a article called Gaslighting 101, How to Catch an Abuser. Those are really good tips on how to catch, or gaslighting is a technical term where you make someone feel like they're insane or you manipulate them. But it's very synonymous with dark side NLP. How can I say how to prevent it? I would say being aware of your natural state and when you meet new people. Mm-hmm. New people, you should have a little bit of a barrier. So my big thing is know your hardcore truths. Hardcore truths. Is the sun going to rise tomorrow? Yes. Hardcore truth. Boom. Is your name Alex? Is your name Sasha? Yes. Are we in Los Angeles? Yes. So you have these absolute truths. And this is kind of like if you've seen the movie with the Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. He has a spinner. He said that's his constant. Then to let him know if he's inside the dream world. If you have a set of questions that you always ask yourself and you always know the true answer, that gives you a psychological or mental construct of what truth is. And knowing what truth is keeps you on the straight and narrow. It allows you to judge. But if you have another set of questions that you know are completely erroneous and bullshit, like I know things are false. The sun is going to rise in the east, right? So is it going to rise in the west? No. It sets in the west. Like, oh, that's bullshit. Now you have something where you can actually anchor yourself from a hell no and a hell yes. And you can actually go, okay, boom. So you can say, you can use this for every day in your life. But that is a really good way to sit there and go like, am I going to give my money away for something that's bullshit? Hell no. No. Am I going to do something? Am I going to give my money away for something that's of equal or greater value that's going to help me in my life? Yes, I'm going to do that. Yes. And yes, I'm doing gestural anchoring and conditioning to Sasha and to you in the video. So cards up, okay? But yeah, so that is one way. If you start seeing something like that, absolute truth anchoring. You know, this bullshit. Now you want to do something else that's really crazy about the anchoring of truth?
You tell me.
I'm going to do it right in the camera. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That was a good Clinton impression. Okay.
You know, I have a good Bill Clinton impersonation. I'm going to tell you what I told them at Fox News. Those guys are crooks. But not as big as a crook as me. But anyway, so little side note. Bill Clinton, the night before he did his testimony for Monica Lewinsky for that impeachment trial, he actually spent almost the whole day with Tony Robbins inside the Oval Office working on things. And this was a gesture that Tony Robbins taught his students before that. He doesn't do it anymore. And this is definitive truth. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. So he was actually using NLP and conditioning the whole audience the judge, the Congress, everyone who's watching, even on the news. And so then there's other videos of like him before the speech where he's getting makeup and he looks like he's in a hypnotic trance. That was something that Tony Robbins gave him to calm him down so he could go into uptime, which is a faster processing of information. And that's another example of manipulation in the media. But yeah, and I have no desire to kill myself. I just want to say that. I want to live a long life. So if I get Epsteined because of that. But yeah, so.
Well, I don't
But
think
being aware of it, being aware of gestures, tricky language. If you feel funny, leave.
Yeah, that's good advice in general, because not just with if someone's manipulating you in that way, just someone's energy. Like if you feel someone's energy is like they may have a lot of entities, they might have a lot of heaviness, a lot of shit going on. So if you could, I think everyone is to some degree sensitive to that. Some people way more so, but you know that gut feeling of when you're around someone, you're like, yeah, this is not right. Just get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, I gotta go pee. Even if you just gotta be like, yo, I gotta pee. I'll be right back. Just go and pee, and then do not go back to that person. Yeah. If that's what you gotta do.
Then there's other things you can do. There's a thing called a California pepper plant or a pepper tree. You can take the leaves and smack it around yourself, and it can actually drain some of the dark energy off of you. But you can also do this with sage. I like to have a little bit of vodka, and I put sage leaves in it. And I make a tincture, and I just take a little sip. Or if you don't want alcohol, you can get this through Amazon. It's a spray, a mister for just desert sage, and you can use that to anchor yourself to being safe, being secure, being impervious. That's really how you beat it. You condition yourself to feeling like you're touching that Super Mario star in Super Mario Brothers, like and things are just bouncing off you. That's the spot when things are just bouncing off you, and you're like, "Yeah, man, like I don't care, I'm happy." And you can see this. Like some people do this. Tony Robbins does this, so he doesn't allow the audience's energy to affect him. There's a guy named Grant Cardone who's actually a Scientologist. He doesn't think he does hypnosis, but he is doing hypnosis. They just call it a different name. And so what's interesting is that they're in this like superhuman mind altering confidence state where nothing sticks. And we kind of call that the con man. And I don't know if you just felt the energy change. Did you?
No.
Okay, cool. Like I just felt the energy change, like by me going, and so that might just be me. But when I feel that, that's when my alarms go up. I want to be fast. And I'm going to stick as much information as possible in. That's when I start catching those people. And so at the business conference that I went to this weekend, the guy who was speaking, I caught him using some negative hypnosis. My buddy was, can I get a picture with the speaker? And he did, and he took out $100 bill, and he's like he's making money with this guy. And the guy goes, "That's my money. That's my $100 bill." And it made me really think about that. Here's this guy who's like, I want to take a picture with the guy who spoke, who's helping me focus on generating money. And now the guy who's speaking is going to say, "That's my money." I was like, that's not empowering. That's disempowering of my friend.
Did he try and steal the $100 off him?
He just kept pitching him.
Well, he kept trying to get it?
He kept pitching him. And I just said, I was there, and I was like, "Oh, no, that's not your $100. That's one of the many $100 bills he's going to have in his pocket because of your teaching that you gave today. And he doesn't need anymore because you gave all that he needed. And that's where the true value is. Isn't that a great testimonial of why other people should come and see you?" And he's like, "Ugh." He's like, "Shit." And he's like, "What kind of business do you do?" I was like, "I'm a hypnotist." And he's like, he shut his mouth and walked away. And I was like, so I knew he was doing some shit.
And then you said another thing to your friend, and then you got that $100 off him. Is that right?
Yeah, no, dude, like.
Is that what happened?
Nah, I'm not that. I'm not that. Fair enough. Money hungry. I like to have
really
clear
dodgy.
agreements.
I mean, that would have been amazing if he actually pulled it off, and people were standing there watching, like, that guy just jacked $200. That would have been weird. That would have been weird, dude.
Yeah. So,
that would have been hilarious.
Some people talk about like invisible energy in the room. Like I kind of felt energy in my room earlier, but this gentleman was like, "Do you guys hear the music in the room? Do you guys hear that? I hear it." And we're like, "There's no fucking music here, dude. There's no fucking music." He's like, Do you guys hear the money that's moving around here in between us? It's all around us. You just can't see it. You just can't reach out and grab it. Not yet. That's what I teach." And I was like, So then when he came up to me, he's like, he tried to sell me on something, and he repeated the NLP pattern of me, something that I'm not seeing yet that I could see with his help, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that structure. Something that does not exist in my reality, but his teaching is going to show me that it's going to be there. Okay? When he did that, and he said it again, and I said, yeah, I think what you have, what you're saying is that I'm not seeing is the same thing as your offer. It's empty and invisible and doesn't exist. And right then he knew he got caught again. And he was like, okay, I'm leaving. And I was like, yeah, you don't have the mindset to stay focused on point. So I knew that he wasn't as skilled, and he backed down. I was like, yeah, I wish you the best. I'm glad he has money, but it's kind of like sex. You can have a bunch of one-night stands by manipulating a bunch of people, but you're eating a bunch of happy meals. I like filet mignon. I like quality relationships. I like good clients. I like filet mignon. That's just how I am.
Filet mignon.
So
I haven't eaten anything but an orange today, so filet mignon, some of these.
I admire your discipline in that. That's something I really admire in you. So yeah, defending it, making sure, making sure, knowing what is hardcore truth, like your truth, what is an actual fact in reality. The sun rises in the east. What your name is, where you live. Things can change, of course, but what is true for you? Right, 10 simple things. Who's your father? Who's your dad? Who's things that will not change? Consistently throughout time is another good one. And you have that. Then you have the fakeness, and then, what is a list of fake, erroneous things, and you know what the emotion is of fake, and you know what the emotion is of truth. You have that. Once you feel the energy come up, and it feels creepy, or it feels like they're trying to be like an energy vampire, that's when you leave. That's like, excuse me, I have to go. I got to get a pack of cigarettes. Okay, cool. Like, oh, I never saw you. It's like, yeah, I didn't find what pack of cigarette I wanted to get yet, but I got to go. Avoid those people. So there's a reason why I avoid Russ Jeffries. There's a reason why I avoid a lot of these pickup guys. And a lot of these pickup guys, they all learned it from each other, and they use this dark shit on each other in a different flavor, in a different way. And that's why you see people who succeed in pickup, and then they crater.
I wonder if you're at a certain level of consciousness, if you just become impervious to all that stuff. Can you imagine if Buddha's just there and he's just in a state of total bliss, and you're speaking some shit at him? It's just an ego talking. It doesn't. Yeah. It can't affect absolute truth of all it is.
Can I say something very controversial?
Sure.
Okay. So this might trigger some people, and I don't wish it to. What's the point of sex and intimacy?
To connect with somebody.
Yeah.
And to make babies, maybe.
Right.
Don't want to be controversial to all the people who.
So let's just call it connection.
Connection. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever met somebody who just really wanted to be your friend, but you didn't want to be his friend?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you feel sympathy for that person? So, what do we call a person that forces sex on another person?
A rapist.
So a rapist is a person who's desperate for connection, and now has to force it upon somebody else for them to accept him or her. So, can we have compassion for the rapist?
That's the question.
And this is where I say, if you can achieve that, which I believe I have, doesn't mean what they did is right. Doesn't mean it's acceptable behavior. But I no longer have that point of attraction inside myself where I will attract a rapist into my life. So that's kind of like the dark side of the law of attraction, in my opinion, that people don't talk about, is that if you don't make peace with the people who are broke and don't have money, fucking hobos, fucking homeless people, god damn them, fucking bums, like no good for, well, guess what? Now you're attracting scarcity. But if you look at the rich people and like fucking rich people with all their money, like fuck them. They're so greedy. Guess what? Now you're pushing the wealthy people away. And that's what happens. That's why people get stuck in the middle class. But then when you start going, hey, I can help the homeless people and I can help the wealthy people. Now you're coming from a place of holistic integration and wholeness. So that's the same thing. So that's what I would say. Once you get to a certain level, and there's a lot of deep shadow work, which is something I'm doing. I'm still processing and finding new shit in myself. And it's like, oh, okay, integrate, holistic, accept, give compassion, give acceptance. Doesn't mean I have to agree with what their path is, but I know that somewhere they're wanting to connect to power, to love, to significance, and to abundance. They're just going about it in a very negative way, and they're trapped.
Well, yeah. I mean, fuck. A lot of people, Paul says a lot, most people are just managing their suffering. So they just want to feel a little bit better. So they'll go to whatever that is, a bit of porn or a bit of booze or drugs or antidepressants or whatever thing that's going to make a Big Mac, whatever's going to make them feel a little bit better right now. But people ultimately, they just want to feel better. That's it.
Well,
they
I
just
had
want
this
to be loved
epiphany.
and be safe and feel happy. And
Men don't like porn. No one likes porn. No one. I know it's controversial, right? No one likes porn. And I'll tell you why. They don't like porn. They like the way the porn makes them feel afterwards. Because they had the release. They want to go back to
usually
a place
I would feel
of neutrality.
really bad because it's great when you're doing it, but after you blow your load, especially if it's like some dirty sex act, like you kind of felt guilty about, like masturbation, it's actually a little bit of a disappointment afterwards. It's like it's a relief that you've done it, but then you're like, I just got to go wash my hand now, and
Yeah. But after that,
do
you have the urge to do it again?
No, you relax for a while. Yeah.
Right. So it's the relaxation you want. It's the same thing with cigarette smoking. People who smoke, they don't like the cigarettes. They like the way the cigarettes make them feel afterwards. And it's like, hey, wake up.
Yeah, they never seem happy. Right? They're just there.
Yeah.
I see people smoking and they're really not happy, and I'm like, why are you spending money getting yourself sick with cigarettes when you're not even happy doing it?
You know what? So this is my personal opinion. Cigarettes, the higher purpose of smoking cigarettes is for people to have freedom. It's connecting to that inner, little shithead. Like, I'm going to do what I fucking want. I don't care. Ooh, I'm going to take another break.
For some people are just addicted to...
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say they're addicted to freedom.
Or freedom.
And then that freedom's a really crazy one. It seems like it's a good thing. You want to have more freedom, but if you're ultimately in seeking of freedom and doing what you want, you'll know it's very difficult to make commitments because you'll always break the commitment. If you're like, I want to do what I want. Okay, well, you said you were going to be at this place next week and you weren't there. Yeah, sorry, man. Fucking freedom, dog. Let's ride. So that's my
there's always an underlying emotion for any action, right?
Yeah, but underlying, but also a higher purpose. Like, what are we trying to do? What is it we want? And then
everybody's
that's
ultimately everyone's ultimately going for a feeling, right?
Yeah. Feeling.
Like you're not, even if you're doing some really heinous shit, it's not like you just. I guess there are some people who are so sick they actually want to do the heinous shit, but most people are doing it because there's a feeling, whether it's power or the freedom they get with robbing the bank, getting the money, whatever it is. There's a feeling that they're chasing.
Well, if you ever go to the Museum of Death here in Hollywood, in Los Angeles,
sounds like a fun place.
It is. It's intense. So you go to the Museum of Death and you can actually read these guys' letters and interviews and see like artifacts and relics of their crimes in some instances, and they always say like they have this urge to do it, and then they get the silent. Like now they have that moment of fulfillment of killing somebody. Now they can stop. And it's like, what the fuck? So do they really like the killing, or do they like how they feel after the killing? And what's the higher purpose? What's the reason of doing it? And so I think we're going to, in the next 20 years, I think we're really going to find out as psychology and medical science and learning it advances. Because I think that's the next big frontier. I'm really excited about the next 20 years because we really get to find out a little bit more. We have more education, more information being shared. I don't think they can stop us. I think we're busting out.
Well, I think consciousness is busting out, and I don't think that can be stopped.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try. I think they're trying right now real hard.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think there's going to
But no, like you can just, there's a difference. I mean, I hang out with gangbangers here in LA, prior gangbangers, and they're like, man, if I just did, okay. And then now they're like going, oh shit, there's a different, now they're reaching down to the younger kids in gangs, like, hey, dude, I'm an OG. You got to come this way. And then, so we're seeing a reemergence of male mentoring. We're seeing a reemergence of female mentoring. We're healing the male and the female egoic identities and saying it's okay. Like, like we don't have to be macho men. Macho men's just a cover story anyways. Are you man enough? That's a cover story for not being enough. Okay. Then once you go ahead and say, oh, I'm enough. I don't need it.
Then you don't need to be man enough.
I don't need.
You can just be enough.
Now the scarcity and the FOMO manipulation tactics don't work on you. Like, that's cute.
Yeah, FOMO's a motherfucker. Costs me a lot of money. So let's take a piss break and come back.
Piss break it is.
Yep.
All right. So
let's keep rolling. So teach us some more.
All right.
More defense. I want to know about the defenses to protect you people from the evil forces.
So I'll share one quick story. There's a gentleman who sometimes you'll see this a lot. You see this in Tony Robbins does this too. He's like, I'm gonna do my worst Tony Robbins impersonation. It's like, have you ever not had enough money in your bank account? Say I. And he has everyone put their hands up like, aye. And they're like, aye. You're now buying into the conditioning.
Compliance, yeah.
You're complying, you're boom. And you can say the same thing when they do Adolf Hitler, Heil Hitler salutes. It's conditioned response. Mm-hmm. It's trained dog. It's like boom. So he's training the audience to raise their hands. So what if I said, how many of you are watching this podcast right now? How many say aye? Okay. How many of you are listening to the podcast? Say aye. All right. How many of you came here because you wanted to hear good information? Say aye. Okay. And how many of you have problems approaching women? Don't say aye. Because it's a yes ladder to build them up into being conditioned to an agreement state and agreeing with a phobia or a problem. Mm-hmm. And this is done again and again at pickup artist communities. I see the same thing. I've been conditioned by different pickup artists to give all my money up. And if I don't give my money up, I'm a piece of shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I got it on video. So I've seen it again and again. They will anchor themselves to Jesus. So like I did this earlier. If you were watching it, I pointed at you, say that you're a good guy. I was anchoring your attention to him being of high value.
The thing people need to understand about Jesus is he was a great guy.
Yeah.
He was a really wonderful.
So you'll see somebody who goes on stage and is like, Jesus Christ said, the truth will set you free.
But that's really obvious.
Buddha. Here's another thing. You can notice that Tony Robbins always says Jesus Christ and Buddha, but he never says Muhammad or Allah.
Nope.
Because he would get rejected by the Western world audiences.
Oh, okay.
So if you were an atheist and you're like, oh, I don't like Jesus. Like, I think that whole thing, like say you're Richard Dawkins and you're like, I hate a fucking
It's funny because you say it now and it's so obvious, right? But I guess but I never really realized that before, so it must not be obvious enough for people to notice it.
Yeah, but then
would people be angry if they realized that Tony's doing those kind of?
Yeah, but it's not like, and then people like myself who've been trained and initiated in this world of NLP, we sit there and go like, he's doing the God anchoring. That's cool. Yeah, good for him. Yeah, so it's really hard to bust through that. Mm. But when you get people who come see me and they've walked on fire at Tony's things for 5 times and they still have their problems, and I'm like, oh, you want to do this? So. I start having an initial consultation. So I talked with you about this before. I have another tool that they can use against the dark side.
Manipulation.
And manipulations. It's called the limiting, I should say it right, the limiting belief grinder. It's on, you just send me an email on my website, impactfulchangeshypnosis.com. I know it's a long word, but you can put Adam Goodson Hypnosis and my website will come up. But send me an email. And I will send this PDF to you. It's 28 questions. And if you've ever seen the movie 300, it's kind of like we take one belief and I ask these 28 questions to you and we find out where you get to answer the questions yourself. You take a picture of the questions and I'll spend an hour with you fixing it for free. And that's just like,
what?
Yeah. Because I really want people to wake up. I really want to show my value. And I think the best way to do that for me as a hypnotist, as a coach, as an NLP practitioner, a master practitioner, whatever you want to call it, I just call myself the cool guy who's a train conductor. I'm on the train and I'm pointing at the cool stuff out the window, and I really want to point towards you, like you're fucking awesome, and you just don't know it yet. And if you do know it, let's turn it up even more. And so in that hour, you can actually see where you actually in those questions. If that doesn't work, the questions by the time you get a 28th question of the PDF, you should have your problem solved. If you don't, contact me. But in those answers, you'll figure out when you first felt that emotion. When did you first feel that? And one instance was me where like, when did I first have this feeling of being broke? I didn't have a problem with money or making money until I got into pickup. And that's when I realized that I went to a Vince Kelvin convention and got anchored, who used to be trained by Russ Jeffries. Mm-hmm. And they fucking bitch about each other back and forth. And I was like, oh man, there's like this evil hypno lords that just don't wake up. Like they just want to keep spitting venom and say this guy sucks and that guy sucks. And I'm enlightened. And I'm just saying, like that doesn't really, I'll tell you this, enlightenment, it's a game that is not to be told. It's sold, but they don't tell you because it's the sound of one hand clapping. It's in you. You got to unravel it. And the wormhole goes deeper. So that would say that was another tool There's a the limiting belief grinder. And I just get that out for people for free to show value. And then the gaslighting article is a really good one too. And of course this podcast, and just hang out with people who have integrity. Yeah. If you see them when wavering in their integrity, address it. And if they care, they will correct their behavior. They'll say, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be stealing. Like I shouldn't be lying to people. I shouldn't be doing this. And I don't have anything to gain by exposing people like Vince Kelvin or Russ Jeffries or Tony Robbins. I mean, they're just playing the game. That's how they get paid. That's how they learned it. And, hey, reincarnation. We'll see him again next year. We'll see him again next lifetime, next season. And we're going to go, hey, dude, that shit, the whole human race, we just evolved. And we're all talking NLP, which means we're all talking congruent, meaningful language. That means peace and love.
I think for me, it was funny when you said, well, I'll see him next year, because you're likening like one lifetime to like a year because it's so quick. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just one lifetime, 1 year. Just see you next year. It's all good. Yeah. It's funny.
Kiss him. Send him love. Like, if you see Ross Jeffries, don't trip him. Don't call him a piece of shit. Just send him love. I mean, or indifference. That's what I do.
Well, love is the higher way, because it's all us.
And then
there's no.
Yeah. But sometimes you can give love and people will reject it because their ego is just a maniac. They're just trying to enter that God state the hard way.
You've seen people. Most people like love, even if they're egomaniacs. They still like the love.
Yeah.
Have you seen people react badly to getting love?
Absolutely. That's what bulimia and bulimia and anorexic people. It's they're eating food and they're rejecting nutrition, nurture, love.
So they don't feel worthy of.
Yeah, they'll take it and like, get this shit away from me. And so a lot of anorexic, bulimic people are very much spiritual. Like they want to be more of a spirit again. They want to be outside their body. This
explains why I love food so much.
Yeah.
So I just love getting that love. I feel I love it so much. I need to,
I was concerned, but then you're also doing it for a spiritual reason. I was like, oh, he wants to get out of his physical body. Okay, cool. Like, bless you. I hope it works. Save a seat for me. like why? Okay, And then I remember you talked about it. We did a Facebook Live and we talked about it, and I was like, he's doing this for spiritual things. He's not trying to kill himself. He's doing what he's doing. And then after I heard you speak, I was like, he's fine. He's going to be better than just good. And so
did you come on that Facebook Live because you were worried about me? Because that's the first time. Because I did. Okay, because that's the first time you actually popped on. I was like, hey, what's going on? And so I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, I popped on and I was concerned and I wanted to ask questions from a place that's not judgmental, but also find out what you're truly doing. And and also there was a lot of people asking questions like, you're fucking crazy, you're hurting yourself. I was like, whoa, like it's the same thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever been around somebody that is suicidal. They actually think that the world is a better place without them. Mm-hmm. Like they're like, dude, I should die because I do the world a favor. And it's like, dude, people love you. They have it in their head that they're so fucking worthless that even their family will be happy to see them die. They'll reject it automatically because their belief system. Mm-hmm. So that's the one way that you would change someone's belief. It's like, no, they actually do love you. And here's the truth. Just like the sun rising in the east.
Well, here's what's fascinating. I was talking about this the other day with a friend about how, everyone's got their trauma and their fucked up beliefs and their story and all this fucked up shit. And it's great to work on that consciously. Do a course. You could read a book. There's all these things you can do to really do the personal healing work. But another kind of avenue you could go is spiritual awakening. And what's interesting is as you wake up really to the ultimate truth that we're all one consciousness, when you really, because that's like the realization you're not the ego at all. Yeah. So all of the thoughts and worries and feelings of all that kind of shit, that's all has to do with the ego construct. Over here is just the peace of God, the presence of being, just
Alan Watts talks about this.
Yeah, well, he's not the only one that talks about it.
He's like, your trauma is just like train.
It's all over here. So this is what I've realized. For me, yes, I've done some healing, but it was the spiritual path and the realization of the truth of what I am and who I am, all this kind of stuff. That's what's actually led to me just going, oh, okay, this is all just a story. This is okay. Yeah. And it's interesting. And so now I've been talking about this more and more because it's so fascinating. Even though you can have really, really big spiritual awakenings and you realize, okay, you're not the person, you're not the story. You can have a lot of peace with that. And yet the body may still be holding on to some traumas, or your mind might still hold on to some beliefs, even though as you're in those high states, you can look and go, none of those beliefs are real at all. It's all bullshit. But then at some point, there'll still be some residue of it in the body, trauma in the body, all this shit you have to deal with, and on some level, unless you hit full, total, permanent enlightenment, which is like there's no going back.
Yeah.
Slowly the mind comes back in, and some of those patterns, even though you know they're not real, they're still there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because you can heal some of the human shit just waking the fuck up out of it. But then there's that human, more sort of 3D, like nitty gritty, working on your shit. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So
fascinating.
This is why I love. I'll get some grumpy people, like military veterans, people who raped, molested, and then I just there and go like, all right, cool, and we're gonna do this stuff, and they come over to my house and they're like, all right, what are we gonna do? And I was like, we're gonna breathe for 5 minutes, and they're just like, what? I was like, I don't want to do the Wim Hof thing. I was like, that's okay, but and there's other ways you can do it, but meditation is a good way to discharge the energy from the trauma. I want to say that again. Discharge the energy from the trauma. Once you do that, like if you've ever seen someone who's really angry and they just go like fucking full on Hulk and they're just like, ah! And then they get to a certain point where they're just tired of shit because they've just, all this emotion, all this energy came out of their anger and now they're drained. That's it. So when you have a friend who's like emotionally venting or like emotionally barfing and using you as an emotional trash can, it's like that shit, it's really negative. They're trying to dump on you, but it's like me, especially if it's a client, it's like, keep it coming. Because I know when they get tired, now it's discharge. I'm like, now we can work with the problem. But there's a faster way to do it, and that's meditation. That's prana breathing. That's yoga. And then you want to save yourself an hour? Go do that before calling me. You save yourself thousands of dollars because then you're more open to receiving. And then, yeah. Oh, and here's another thing too, to protect yourself from the dark side. I just popped in my head because I say this a lot to my clients, is that everything we do here is positive. Everything here is for our benefit to improve mutually and collectively and ecologically. And if anyone does anything that's harmful or negative, we're just going to leave that outside for somebody else to pick up. It's not ours. And then they go. So I'll see like the dark hypno lords go, oh, fuck you. And I'm like, no, seriously. Yeah, if you want to take the bad shit outside, you can go out there too. I'll be okay with that. And so I'm a little bit more abrasive. I'm a little bit more in people's faces, a little more assertive, not aggressive.
I like a little abrasiveness.
But yeah, I think some people need to like, I'll put it this way. If they're not getting the message right now through the podcast, the books, through the lectures, the seminars, wait about 50 years when it's people in a classroom being forced to be in a classroom and they just recite, be here now, be here now, be here now, be here now, beating it in their heads. And they're getting like, I don't get it. It's like, sorry, you were the last couple million people who didn't get it. Now you're going to get it. Sorry. And they're going to be like, and then
that's actually how I think the awakening is going to go down. It'll just be like more and more people popping, and then it'll be like most people are with it, and we're all one and is love. And so eventually it'll be like if you're like angry and trying to rip people out and doing stupid shit, most people around you will be like, "What are you doing? We're all working together here. Why are you doing this? You're just suffering for no reason." And and eventually you'll be weird if you're not into oneness and spirituality and healing. Everyone will be like, why are you? It's free. You just go and everyone's going to help you. No, fuck you guys. I want to be angry. Yeah. Okay. But now you're weird if you're into healing and spiritual, and people are like, look at this hippie.
Which is fine.
It's still the minority, but it's getting more. It's getting more.
But here's the thing, though. People who deny it, they only reach out for help in a crisis moment. Like, I tried everything out. I can't get it better. I can't heal.
Well, that's why I think we're being put into the pressure cooker, a lot of people right now, because it's like universe is like, okay, it's wake up time. So either wake the fuck up or we're going to crush your soul until you wake the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, and so my personal belief is, I know that we talk about Illuminati and conspiracies and New World Order, and we see that on YouTube. My personal belief is that this council of people, they're afraid of us waking up and actually hurting ourselves.
I think we're hurting ourselves by not waking up. So
yeah, but they know if they rush it, it's going to be crazy. So the most beneficial thing that we can do for other human beings is to communicate, to connect, to share our lessons, to share our learnings, to exchange money with each other rather than corporations, or maybe corporations that really don't have our best interests in mind. And then we could actually say, I'm going to empower you through the use of my dollar, I'm going to empower you through the use of my patronism or subscribing. Hit the like button. Ding. Hit the bell.
Hit it.
And so, like supporting those things that are encouraging you to grow, because you won't see that. Here's another thing about dark side stuff. If you watch the news, which I don't really like to do, but let's say you watch CNN. CNN will have a picture of a nice, pretty anchorman or anchorwoman, handsome anchor person, and they will show in the upper left-hand corner disease, famine stories in the upper left-hand corner. Mm-hmm. And then in the upper right-hand corner, they'll show happy puppies, feel-good stories, and they take a commercial break. A commercial break is a pattern interrupt, and now they've set the conditioning. Left is bad, negative, and the right-hand upper corner is the good stuff. So where do you think they show Obama's pictures?
It's going to be top right corner.
Upper right corner. Mm-hmm. So you'll see this a lot in seminars where they'll actually condition people, mm-hmm. and they will actually talk about other coaches or other companies' life coaching offers in the left-hand corner. Mm-hmm. Or CNN will talk about Donald Trump in the left-hand corner. Mm-hmm. You're actually conditioning the audience. So if you really like Donald Trump, cool. If you really don't like him, cool. But I really challenge you, can you become so compassionate to Donald Trump that you understand, you don't have to agree with him, but just understand it's his way and put him in a place of neutrality, because that's when you'll start. This is me actually deciding. You're like, okay, would you have a meal with Donald Trump? Would you sit down with Adolf Hitler before World War II and try to like talk sense to him and be compassionate? Like, hey, there's a better way. There's a different way.
Just let him into art school. That's all we had to do with Hitler.
Dude, yeah.
Let him into art school.
Yeah.
He wants to be an artist.
And a prosthetic testicle. That's what I heard. I heard he only had one nut.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I think I heard that too.
Or non-functioning penis. There's like all kinds of weird stuff that the CIA has.
I think Hitler was pumping.
Dude. So you want to talk about dark side? There's actually cases where
Hitler was into NLP too?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could actually look at it. He actually anchors the whole audience to cheering at a certain point. Especially if you don't know German, he crosses his arms like this, and that's also like some sorcery people would say that's like a sign of death or resurrection. But that's when the people cheer. So when he crosses hands and certain hand gestures, and you're like, And there was also women in the first 5 rows that experienced having orgasms when he spoke. So there's this idea of power and energy and feeling, and they're like, well, like you can only have an orgasm. So that tells me, at least from a sexual connection energy level, that orgasms are possible without physical touch, which means that our minds are really powerful. We can actually manifest some really fun stuff if we really want to, and we're really open to it. So, consider that for a moment.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why, but ever since I can only really orgasm with Russ Jeffries in the room ever since 2013. I saw him at this conference. It's really weird. But sometimes if I'm with a woman, I'll just put up a little picture there, and I'll be making love to her, and I'll just look up and I'll just pretend.
Yeah.
I'll just carry that face over onto her, and then I'm able to plan.
So like I've been mentored.
And it's fine. It's fine. It's a bit weird. I just carry a little picture with me. Wherever I go, I just got a little roll up. I've got a couple of stickers. So even if I go to a girl's house, I'm like, oh, is this your room? And the girl, she'll go out to pee or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm just checking out your room. And I'll put up a little sticker up on the wall. Oh. And then I'll take it off at the end. But it's weird when they see the sticker. You know what I'm saying? They'll just be like, who's this old guy up above the bedpost? I'm like, I've never seen that before.
They're probably just surprised to see a small prick.
Yeah, it's probably just a little prank. Those kids these days, they break in houses, they put up stickers. You know how it is. Harmless fun. It's harmless fun.
Yeah, so you just reminded me of something, actually. I think I talked about it in the break. So I was trained by Steve P. from White Tiger Tantra. He's also one of the characters in the game. Really sweetheart. And there's women who come to him to say, I was hypnotized by Russ Jeffries to think of him when I orgasm. Can you deprogram me? Can you dehypnotize this shit out of my head? And I thought it was bullshit until I saw it happen and saw like multiple women come over and do it. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like, they come to me because they know I'm in that fucking book, The Game, and this and that, and this is what I have to do. So he now no longer really teaches men. He's just seeing women that want to like have shit reversed or find out about their bodies because they've been so fucked up by media and Hollywood and other dark hypno lords. So it's kind of interesting to see how the damage can get reversed.
That seems like a fun idea for a show. Dark hypno lords. You know?
That's what I just call it.
They just come in.
I think it's comedic.
But they do prank stuff. They just get you addicted to like really weird pizza, and then they make you like fart these horrible farts and just clear out buildings. Like they're just having harmless fun. The dark. I just think it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to have fun with it, cool. Like there's one person that I've anchored to laugh no matter what, and so every time I do this one hand gesture, she laughs, and she can't stop laughing. But I was like, okay, like I have fun with it. I play with it, of course. But ruining people's lives, it's just, like, I couldn't sleep with myself. You know, it's gross. And so me and my girlfriend, we play with it. You know, like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Like example, there's a hypno pattern where you can make another person impotent, where their penis won't work. And I thought it was bullshit. So I tried it on myself. And for a whole week, I just tried in vain to make my dick hard and couldn't. And I mean, went to strip clubs, like everything, and just couldn't do it. My girlfriend was pissed. But I reversed it and it worked again. And I was like, okay, cool. Like the suicide stuff, I would make myself feel suicidal just so I could experience that and know how to get out of it again. Because
that's a risky one to play with.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. I mean, I like to play dangerous. I like to. Like, okay, cool. But the shit's out there, and just fucking be careful. If you feel the creeper vibe, you know, or if you go to an NLP training course, you know, write down your intention. Like, everything here is positive. Everything here is for me to learn, and it's not going to hurt me. Anything that's going to harm me, I'm just going to put in a capsule and, you know, observe it like it's a butterfly in a glass cage. And you can look at it, and then you can set it free if you want, you know, or you can put it somewhere else. And that's the best thing. And please, if you're in over your head, get help. Get help. Suicide hotline number, call it. You know, there's so many resources. We want you here. So
here's a question, serious question. Because I want people, you know, if people resonate with you and they want to come find you.
Okay.
Maybe they want to work with you.
Maybe.
Could you tell people a little bit about you and how to reach out to you, but without using any creepy NLP stuff to get people to want to come to you?
Yes.
Can you do it in a real way?
Yeah, I can. Go outside your house, wait until midnight, look straight up in the sky. The brightest star. Don't wish on it, but just like call me. Yeah. My phone number. That's it. I use... You know, it's funny. I say I always use NLP, but you can go to my website, impactfulchangeshypnosis.com. But to me, NLP is about me working on me, being integrated, being wholesome, being a real representative. And, you know, like I'm working hard. I'm going to watch this like in a year or two, maybe 5 years from now. And I don't think I'll be recognizable. I'm going to be somebody else. You know, I might not even be doing NLP. I might be doing charity work. I might be doing something else. I might just be doing a whole other business. And I'm okay with that, but I'm never going to stop using NLP. And evolving and meditating and growing. So if you need to find me, that's where you find me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Any other last words? We covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. Thank you. Thank you for having me as a guest. Thank you for doing the Infinite Man Summit. It's just phenomenal. I was really moved to tears several times in that event. Amazing speakers. Paul and Kathy. Will Blunderfield really just resonated with those humans and the other human beings in the room. That, like, the guests, the actual attendees, I thought were just amazing. Me and my girlfriend, we heard Peter Sage speak, and I walked over and talked to him, and I said, "Hey, I want to get your business school," and he was just like, "Yeah," and then he's like, "Is that your wife?" She looks upset, and she's like, "You're getting it, right?" Like, she wanted me to get it too. So now I've probably watched that like 3-4 times now completely. And you know, I saw you in there too, which is really cool. I saw the recordings of the event that he did in Krakow, and it was just like, thank you. I'm just so grateful. And thank you for coming to my house in San Diego in 2013 or 2014 and telling me that advice. It changed my life and allowed me to get better, more lessons and more learnings. And I'm just so grateful. So, My biggest thing is, if I could just leave everybody with a question who watches this podcast, is how can you learn to trust yourself more? What's it going to take? Because if you can trust yourself authentically and absolutely, then you can start trusting your value and improving it. And that's my wish for everybody. Yeah,
that's a beautiful place to end.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't tell any dirty jokes at all.
No.
That's really good.
We can film some, and then we can just put that on the YouTube just as a bonus clip.
Just
Because I want people to come into YouTube because they can see the videos. Because a lot of people just listen on audio.
Oh, really?
So we'll say goodbye, and then we'll film an extra bit.
Okay, cool.
Love you guys.
Bye.
See you later. No, we can just do a dirty joke. Welcome to the bonus section where we just and I'm just going to share some dirty jokes. Why not?
All right. So this is an impersonation. Do you know what this is? It's a pair of pants. I fucking love that joke.
Okay.
I love that joke. It's a pair of pants. There's two pants instead of.
Oh, a pair of pants. Jesus Christ.
Pair of pants.
That's really bad.
I know, it's really bad.
I'm not putting that up. There's no way that's good enough. There's no way.
But yeah. There's the always classic, hypnosis joke of the guy who messes up his hypnosis routine. He brings a guy up on stage and he's doing the hypnosis on different people, and he brings this one guy up. He's like, "I can't be hypnotized." He's like, "Come on up, sir. I don't believe in people who can't be hypnotized." So he's like, brings up, he's like, 1, 2, 3, sleep now. And the guy sleeps. He goes to sleep. So he sleep. And he starts talking and telling this guy embedded commands and a long script of what he's going to do for the comedy show. And he trips over the cord. And he's like, "Fuck me in the ass." And I can't tell you what happens next. But
yeah, that's pretty cheesy. Cute.
Yeah, cute. But that's about it.
Could we do like a short, like a 2 or 3 minute bit just for YouTube, like a bonus, and it'll just be like one technique or something that can just help somebody, boom, just like that.
Boom.
Something they
right
can
here.
take home.
Okay, cool. What I want you to do is I want you to either get a piece of string about 4 feet to 6 feet in length, tie both ends together in a knot, and make a circle. And then I want you to take things from your home that make you feel good. Maybe a picture of your mom, maybe a trophy, like a relic or an artifact or a totem that means something to you. And I want you to leave this circle on the ground and then take it and walk inside and say, "This is where I feel powerful. This is where I know my mother loves me." And then you can step out and then repeat it and condition yourself to being this place of empowerment when you're inside the circle. And so what I call this is like a circle of protection, to where you're awesome no matter what, that you can have resources. If you have $100 bill, take the $100 bill and stand inside it. It's like, this is where I'm wealthy and I can use my money responsibly and correct problems and to make new resources and to make new solutions. And do that inside that circle, and that circle become your circle of empowerment, your circle of protection. And then as you go on through, like, I need to make a really good decision, make it inside the circle, and you can just take it with you. Another trick is too, I've shrinking my power circle into my ring, and it's also a symbol of my relationship with my girlfriend. So I'm always carrying my circle of protection, and that's really powerful. So I would say do that. And also, if you see the bell curve, like how emotions rise and they fall, right before you get to the tippy top, that's when you need to walk inside the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say keep the piece of string on you, and whenever you're feeling a bit poopy, just wherever you are, you're in a business meeting, just hang on a minute, guys. Put the string around you. Boom, power circle. Right there.
You know what I think would be really powerful is if you showed this to somebody where you work, or somebody that you spend a lot of time with in the day, and put it in a ring form and give it to them and say, "Hey, like, I really wish you power. I really wish you protection. I wish you so much empowerment and so much protection." Just imagine how much power and protection you can have to where you forget the need for safety, and you can really start flying and do what you want to do. And that's a magical place. We're all there.
Magic.
Excellent.
Yeah. Nice quick tip as a bonus just for you guys watching on the YouTubes.